Hi, this is Sameer Desai, founder of Seagull Advertising. I welcome you to this podcast, Dreamers to Doers. This is a coffee conversation with founders and entrepreneurs. Founders who've come up, who had an idea, who launched, many of them stumbled, they've been able to pick up themselves again and continue on the journey. Today I have a very interesting entrepreneur with us. An entrepreneur who's not done one business, but multiple businesses. Businesses in different categories. I started working with Nuriel Pezarkar when he was general manager of Kimberly-Clark India. From that, it led him to launch a company which is Padamji Hygiene. Padamji Hygiene led to SafeTech, a healthcare company. Today, Nuriel is founder of Noble Exchange, a company that processes wet waste, it's called food waste, into biogas. They have two plants, one in Pune and Bangalore. And interestingly, Nuriel also helped launch a movement in Pune to keep Pune clean. That is the Aadhar Poonawala Clean City movement. Nuriel is a famous guy. He's been with Amir Khan on Satyamev Jayate. He's been recognized by Prime Minister Modi. And recently, he was also on the TED Talks. Nuriel, welcome to Dreamers to Doers.
Thank you so much.
So you've got a long story. And as a founder, since I've known you for over 2 decades, you faced many challenges. So where do you want me to start? Would you like to start from the challenges and where you're today with this nice smile and you're doing a brilliant work in Pune? Many cars, buses are being fueled by the biogas that Noble Exchange is making.
Yeah.
But this journey has been a tough one, right?
I think one of the key points that I would like to bring out. See, I didn't come from a science and technology background.
Okay.
My career started in the advertising industry.
Wow, okay.
Bombay. Then, of course, the Kimberly-Clark opportunity, which was for more than a decade. So the entire training and experience was more customer-centric, understanding customers, understanding behavior, understanding need gaps, and then trying to see if there's a solution to it.
Correct.
So always outside in, rather than taking an idea and going inside out. Now I have an idea and how do I take it to the market? It was always led. So whether you see Greenlime, whether you see SafeTech, whether you see Noble Exchange, they were all born out of a need which had a gap.
Okay.
And the belief was that, all right, if we can fulfill a genuine need, there could be value created.
Fantastic.
So that outside in, and that led, and which is where it became, sector agnostic. So Kimberly-Clark was more paper, disposable products, attitude towards reusable versus disposable.
Correct.
And you will recollect those days when selling toilet tissue and hand towel used to be a challenge, and we used to put the fear of God into customers for not using a handkerchief versus promoting the use of towels.
Yeah, why you should not have a wet hanky in your pocket?
Absolutely.
And use a tissue paper.
Yeah. Right? Don't put the cold in your pocket.
Don't put the
so
cold.
Those were campaigns, those were things that came out from that. It was a very different category of products. Moved on, was always struggling with this, that tissues require a lot of trees to cut because, the American company was always positioned on virgin white, softest soft.
Correct.
So you need very different quality pulp for it. So the idea was, a lot of customers used to talk, okay, this is use and throw, creates a lot of wastage, disposal is a challenge, that much of paper going into landfill, etc. So was born the idea with that need or the gap from a customer that can we have something which is eco-friendly. So Greenlime was a platform which was 100% eco-friendly products. And it started with the whole idea that we can take office stationery and convert that into tissue paper.
I remember that. So what you're saying is that you were listening. I think if I'm correct, you spoke of the story of probably Infosys in Bangalore.
Yes.
Where they said, it's fine, we are using virgin paper, which meant that it's been made from trees that are cut.
Right.
And since they were an aware company, being, aware to sustainability, they said, why don't you take some of our used paper and convert that into tissues, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think you said that
the Greenlime idea was like, we thought it was like earth-shaking.
So Greenlime is Padamji Hygiene, right? That's what we're talking. And so then you came in and you shifted because the market, you saw an opportunity for making recycled tissues, and that's the story that became with Greenlime.
That became Greenlime. Greenlime was born in this office.
Okay, that's fantastic. I remember that.
Greenlime was born very much in this office and launched with a very extravagant, platform. We were partnered by Padamji pulp and paper mills, which were, the largest paper manufacturing company, tissue manufacturing company. While doing that, and was an unfortunate fallout, I would say.
Correct.
Where the management team got more ambitious than the promoting team, right?
Okay.
And then we tried to do a few things differently and didn't work out.
So just to ask you, if you can talk about it, is there any learning from that for entrepreneurs who might partner with large corporates?
See,
So
unfortunately,
what should they be aware of, or is it just that your timing was wrong?
timing, definitely. Two, you need alignment. You need alignment of thoughts with. So if you have a team of investors and you have a team of management, a management team, they both need to be seeing the same direction at the same time.
Okay.
Question is how much of a scale, how much to pump into the business, how much can you plow to then grow. And often there is this conflict between the management team and the investor team about how much to plow and when to really reap.
Okay.
So at that point we got a bit, our management team got a bit ambitious.
So that's you. So you got ambitious.
Yeah, I got ambitious, and of course, when we moved from Kimberly-Clark, there was a whole team. Our CFO then, and our production head, and our sales team, etc. We moved as a team, so it was important to fire the team. Also, the question was, if it's a big idea, you have to think big from day one.
I remember, Nuriel, at those days when you started Green Lime, and we started Green Lime, it was about think fresh.
Yes.
And I remember at that time, washrooms were not really very important. Yeah, either to offices or to restaurants or any public spaces. And what we see today, that a restaurant or an office is also recognized by the quality of washrooms that they have. And you got in a lot of innovation, right, in terms of dispensers. Yeah, those tissue dispensers.
Remember the idea that was brainstormed here, make the washroom the centerpiece of the office.
Correct.
Right, the glamorous washrooms, and which is why the launch with a ramp walk, and we took that washroom concept to the next level.
Correct.
Then washrooms will attract customers to a cafe.
I know. Correct.
I
think if you were still doing, just my imagination and being where I am as a creative person and like to think forward, is I think what you would have made Green Lime is to what a Toto or a Kohler is today, if you had your free hand at it. Yeah, very glamorous, because that's what these sanitary ware companies have become.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they of course get away with a huge premium.
Yeah.
Because the washroom has become extremely important, right?
See, there's only this much you can do with tissue, right? So we said, all right, if you want to make tissue look sexier, if I may use the term, let's have gorgeous looking dispensers.
Correct.
In which these not so glamorous looking tissues will sit.
Yeah.
And then you have the features like one at a time, so you're reducing wastage, convenient to use, your hands are wet, you're pulling a towel out, how do you tear it? So these automatic dispensers, those ideas were fueled.
I remember those in-wall kind of dispensers.
Yeah,
also.
the cabinets that go into the wall.
The steel dispensers.
The
multicolored.
steel was arranged for silver.
Yeah. So that is very interesting. So essentially what you're saying is, of course, this came in while you're doing Kimberly-Clark and all this, you were interacting with a lot of the 5-star hotels, top IT companies.
Right.
And you started understanding that they're getting a lot of expats coming in.
Yeah.
And the washroom and all the things that go in the washroom are a part of their image.
Totally.
And so that inside you actually converted into a business opportunity.
And the soul of the product was that it's 100% recycled.
Yeah.
So you saw these green colored tissues, brown colored tissues. Starbucks is still on the brown.
Right?
The
so at
Starbucks still on
Starbucks,
the green.
So Starbucks still has, if I'm correct, olive, right?
Olive
are the recycled tissues that Padamji Hygiene makes. Yes. Excellent. I remember after that, Nuriel, you moved on to SafeTech. Yeah, and SafeTech also was very interesting. And how did you make this move from, I could say, hygiene to healthcare and to a very serious kind of a product category? And if you just explain what SafeTech made.
The sector was different, hygiene to healthcare. But fundamentally, the soul of the product was the same. One, it was disposable.
Okay.
So the mindset of the end user, again outside in.
Okay.
The mindset of the customer was to switch. The challenge was to switch from a reusable gown to a disposable gown, a reusable bed sheet to a disposable bed sheet. And the reason for the shift was infection prevention.
Okay.
So while the sector and the product may seem different,
it was basically disposables.
It was disposable It was hygiene.
Correct.
And hygiene led to healthcare. So we used to always talk about this, cleanliness leads to hygiene and hygiene leads to healthcare.
Correct.
So the high platform was healthcare.
Even the reason to actually use tissues was to be healthy.
Be healthy.
Otherwise, it's going to
Stop
carry
the
germs.
infection.
Yeah, stop infection.
What do you do when you blow your nose into a handkerchief? That's what we used to highlight, right?
Yeah.
Or bathroom rolls or hand towels. Entirely the same concept. The sector and the form of the product was different, so you look at it as a different category. But if you look at it from a marketing, customer insight, the sales page perspective, it was nearly the same.
Correct.
Both use and throw. Both had the same challenges. As customer will question at some point that, hey, I'm creating so much of waste. And what happens with this? That time the business was not so sensitive towards how much of waste we are creating as much as what we see now. So the businesses evolve.
Correct.
Mindsets evolve. The way the businesses are conducted, investors and society will look at you to change with time. That change has happened now, but that time nobody used to question us so much that suddenly in an IT company with, let's say, 7 locations, you are consuming 500 cartons of paper hand towel which are all disposed.
Correct.
I don't think anybody at that time questioned us on the disposal part as much as people used to question some of the lead companies, where you take a lead in saying, all right, we are going to be a sustainable organization. We are going to be, so let's say, for example, an ITC kind of a group, right? They launched the hotel chains with the differentiation that all their hotels are platinum green certified.
Fantastic, yeah.
Brilliant luxury.
Correct.
But conscious luxury.
Correct.
So those were the skimming approaches that we took. So customers who had a mindset to turn more sustainable in the way they operate, the way they conduct their businesses, we positioned ourselves as an ideal solution.
Okay.
So the big IT companies happened, a few 5-star hotels happened, and that's how the brand got momentum. But the ultimate, I think the success of that idea would have been to be in your pocket, to be in your office, to be in your car, to be in your household. So that leap, somewhere we thought that we had.
So I'm going to come back to something, to the Green Lime days a little later. But coming to Safe Tech, right? Safe Tech happened also pre-COVID, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
And you were not with it. It was not with it during COVID. Yeah. That was one very big opportunity, right?
See, COVID kind of a situation will throw opportunities. Will that change customer behavior? Like in COVID, I remember the mask was the most obvious.
Correct.
But we used to all sanitize our hands.
Yeah.
We spoke about sanitizers in 1995.
Absolutely.
Then we brought sanitizers in under Green Lime.
Correct.
Right? And during COVID times, I'm sure these products exploded in terms of volume.
Absolutely.
Question is, what happened after that? If the company is smart and the marketing team realizes this as an opportunity that you've broken into a life cycle with a customer, and now I need to ride this and create my brand engagement, create my relationship with the customer so that I don't fall out of his pocket once COVID goes back.
Correct.
Now COVID's gone and the sanitizer is gone.
Right.
So I don't think anybody captured that. And in Safe Tech kind of a situation, that was the really upside. That was the real opportunity. You wait, either you create that tide or you wait for a tide.
It came, right? It was a fantastic opportunity.
It came. So what we did for 5-6 years was to try to change the mindset from reusable to disposable. But an event like this, unfortunate event, nobody wants that to happen. But when it happens, you have the right product ready to go to the market. Right? So these kind of opportunities to scale will happen, but you can't plan your business.
So Nuriel, just to ask you, you even exited Safe Tech, yeah?
Right.
Which was another established company which you came in and you joined. So what are your learnings from that exit? Because you're a professional who joined companies, as a CEO, as an equity partner, and you even moved out of Safe Tech. So what is the learning? Because there could be people like you, who are watching this episode, and again, as a professional,
I think ambitions need to be aligned. The table stake is trust. Table stake is honesty. That's non-negotiable, right? But having said that, the scale, the ambition needs to be aligned.
Correct. Okay.
So if you and me work together, we both need to be thinking that that's the scale, that's the exposure that we want to take together. If at that point you feel that there's a bit of alignment issue, that to me was the biggest learning. Two, if there are two partners, investor and maybe an investor group, not just a financial investor, but a strategic investor who's from the business, and at some point you get into a mindset ki I can do what you can do.
That's the conflict.
Then that is a conflict, right? Then the question is that 1 + 1 11 or is it 1 + 1 2? If you see 1 + 1 2, then there are limitations. And as an individual, then you realize that is this what I started off to do? The moment that thought comes in, conflicts. It will reflect.
Because if I look at both of these industries we discussed, both hygiene in terms of Padamji hygiene and safety in terms of hygiene in hospitals, which is what really, and that's the connecting aspect of your experience and what you bring to the table. Yeah. Both of these were at times which are just getting into India, right?
Yes.
They could have become, or I think when I speak to you and what the sense I get is that probably if you are associated with both those companies, their trajectory would be different.
Yeah, and see, with both, what happened was, the vision was to take it long term, to take it scale. Those 12, 15 years with Kimberly-Clark had trained one to think large, go global, right? There's no limitation. If the idea is good, the team is brilliant in execution, you will find the resources to scale.
Correct.
Okay, and coming back again from that outside in, these were products which were very well positioned ahead of time. So you had to bid your time.
You have to wait.
You have to wait. Now that wait, if you get restless, and that wait, if you say that, all right, it's going to put pressure, but I'm not able to sustain that pressure, whether it is financial pressure, emotional pressure, and then you start to panic a bit. Oh my God, will this really come out? Will this really come out? It's like flying a kite, right?
Get it. You need to get the wind with you also.
You need to get the wind with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes your kite will nosedive, right? If you're a kite flyer, what would you do when the kite nosedives? You don't pull, right?
Yeah, you say loose. Yeah.
You said loose. Relate this to a situation.
Correct. Fantastic example.
So the philosophical connect, the philosophical ideological matching, having said that, table stakes are in place. And then the execution capacity and the trust that, all right, this guy knows what he's talking. This is the way he'll scale it. This is the way we'll support. If at that point questions start to happen, correct, then you see cracks going, then you see conflicts. When you see conflicts, you should know that this is a time. So one of the, another thing that I would like to really express to entrepreneurs is, I've seen so many of them in this various different, we tend to hold ideas very close. So close that that idea becomes me and me becomes that idea, right? And there is no mindset at any point to let it go, whether it is with an investor or whether it is to accept that, all right, this idea doesn't seem to be moving, I need to kill it. So we keep hanging on to it. And you keep hanging on to it, and that's where
the challenge.
The disaster, kind of takes over. So being practical at that point and to say that this is not a reflection on me.
It's what the thing is.
It's what the thing is. For any product, any service, any idea to succeed, you will need 15 external factors to work and be aligned. And even if a couple of them don't work in alignment,
the challenge, yeah.
That will create challenges. Then the question is how you cope with the challenge, etc. But is that a reflection on me? No. It's a reflection on an effort which was done and may not see the light of the day the way you intended it to see. So entrepreneurs and promoters need to come with that mindset. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि भाई ये तो collapse हो गया, हमारा तो brain power ही खत्म हो गया है, हम तो खत्म हो गए. Again, the societal conditioning and the societal pressure, अरे
fail हो गया.
Fail हो गया.
Of course, I mean, coming to that, you started at a time when doing a startup was not very sexy, right? From a multinational general manager for India, which could have taken to the next global position, you chose to become an entrepreneur. Yeah. High risk. I think it's very different now.
Yeah.
But when I see your conversation, you're basically a hygiene man. Yeah. Hygiene in washrooms, whether it's Kimberly-Clark or Padamji hygiene. Hygiene in hospitals when it comes to safe tech. Yeah. And now in your latest avatar, of course, that's also for many years, your hygiene in cities, right? With your Noble Exchange,
yes, which
is actually taking the wet waste from either a Pune or a Bombay and processing it to convert it into biogas and manure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Hygiene Man of India would be a good title to give you. Okay. So, tell me your Noble Exchange challenges, because this is the first time you got, in a sense, associated with the government
Yes.
These are government contracts, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And what has that experience been like, and how it is now?
So to begin with, I don't think we understood the depth or the gravity of how close and how closely overlapped will this work be with the government.
Okay.
Yeah. So we missed that, and I think personally I came from a space of being an eternally optimistic. The problem is so real. The solution is so genuine, and what you're creating is so valuable. Okay. There's no way a country like India or anywhere in the world this should fail.
Correct.
Okay. So just that the enormity of that thought.
The fact that there's so much of wet waste, there's food waste, somebody's going to pick it up and process it. So you're taking away a problem. Nobody should really be a problem. So what were the problems?
So unfortunately, what happens is implementation is always at the grassroots.
Correct.
If the problem has social overlap, social is always overlapped with political, and agendas, objectives, purpose of different people from different strata are always very different.
It's very complicated.
Very complicated. It's layered. Let's put it that way. It's layered. Waste is a commodity nobody wants. Okay, it's got negative appeal to all your five sensories.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, how can we turn that negative to a positive? Right. So that was the first challenge. The waste lying on the street, no problem. I go and pick it up, there would be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Because then what are you doing with it? How is it monetized? What's the outcome from this? Then where are you building it? Where are you taking it? Then the question happens, oh my God, why is this waste plant in my backyard? Why isn't it somewhere else? So issues at various levels come in.
So while you're really trying to, in a manner of speaking, of course there's a business angle, but actually helping a city. But if I'm correct, you ran into problems with the local citizens. They were not happy that you're doing this. Definitely as a result of which the local or the politicians got involved, and they also didn't want you to do this, right? And investments have been made.
Yep.
You have contracts from the government.
Yep.
Okay, this is, if I'm right, mandated even from the Supreme Court and cleared from that level that this needs to be done. But if I can say, it seems to be like a thankless job, right?
You work in the social sector. Either you work for non-profit or you work for profit. But both end up saying the same term that you're using, that it is a thankless job. We have several NGOs that work in this space. In Pune, for example, there is Swachh,
Correct.
which is an organization that helps collect, segregate and dispose waste. But you talk to them, they'll talk you the same. This is the same thing that they will, address. That's a thankless job. More so if you're from a for-profit motive, then thanking from the society is not what you. It's not what you look for also in the first place. Okay. What you're looking for is a great opportunity. What you call waste, I'll call feedstock. Right? If my feedstock can walk into my door without having to spend money, because that's your waste, right? The concepts of, the waste generator has to pay, right? Extended producer responsibility, polluter pay principle. Make sure that the waste is monetized.
Correct. Okay.
Right? So you have something which you can't dispose yourself. I'm disposing for you. You need to pay me a fee. So it's called a service fee or a gate fee.
Correct. Okay.
So in this case, the feedstock walks in with a little bit of revenue. There's no other business in the world apart from, let's say, solar or wind, where you're not paying for the wind or you're not paying for the
sun. Yeah.
Sun, right? In this case, you're not paying for the waste. But that's your feedstock, and that feedstock is food that you did not eat yesterday. Is what we use.
Yeah.
What would have happened in your body? You would have generated energy to keep you going.
Fantastic. Okay.
We'll take that energy and generate it in the plant. The good thing is, with science and technology interception, this energy is good to replace the fossil fuel in your car or your city bus or even your trains, if you really want to stretch that imagination. But there are plenty of cars, plenty of auto rickshaws, plenty of two-wheelers, plenty of city buses. So you don't need to stretch the imagination to go to an aeroplane or a train. You don't have to complicate the solution. So one of my other perspectives has always been, keep it as simple as you can. The challenge happens when you start complicating the solution. Yeah, which is, I've seen a lot of science and technology, trying to get into that space. You complicate it, you layer it. Okay. The simple solution can be scaled most easily. So, those challenges when you start to face, the only fallback that you have is the belief in the solution that you're creating, that there's a genuine problem and there's a genuine solution, to social developments. So today sustainability is not a fad. It's not fashionable to be sustainable. It is a
Requirement.
A requirement. It's a need. We don't behave ourselves, we are heading for a disaster. We are seeing rains in May, right? Something is going wrong somewhere. So, and there are enough minds today, thinking about it, enough minds working towards it, right? What we see, smog in the northern states of India, there's a problem. Somebody needs to solve it.
So Nuriel, just coming back to this, right? Your earlier part of your entrepreneurship journey and your professional career has been in the private sector.
Yeah.
Right? So it's hygiene in the private sector. Now you've got into hygiene in the public sector.
Social sector.
Yeah, the social sector. What's the advice to entrepreneurs? Should they even venture into the social sector or should they stick to the private sector? And we are looking at people who must be observing. See, a lot of India being disorganized, is an opportunity, right? From a business point of view, like you said, as a profit company, you're saying, hey, I'm taking in feed waste, I'm getting paid for it, I can convert that into energy, I can charge for it, I'm making manure, I can charge for it. Great business. Yeah. But a lot of challenges, right, at every level. So if I came to when I had two options on the private sector or the public sector, or the social sector, like you call it, which one should I take?
I must acknowledge it's a very powerful question.
Okay.
And a really good question. We've seen large private sector listed companies that understand the tech. They manufacture products which are required for any and all of these solutions, whether it is sewage, whether it is wastewater, whether it is food waste, whether it is other inorganic waste. But the companies refuse to invest or to invest themselves or to back other companies, other startups to fund into businesses which have exposure of working with the government.
Okay.
Huge problem. So the availability of serious investors first becomes a question.
Okay.
Some of the best engineering companies, do they not understand what we do with waste? It doesn't take a BCom graduate to explain to a PhD holder, right? What gas can be made and how it can be used.
But it's just the interaction and working with different government bodies that puts them off. Okay, so I think your
one
answer
is that. Second is governance issues. There are governance issues.
Okay.
There are expectations, and there is an ecosystem which leads you. I mean, you are in the ecosystem or you're not in the ecosystem. Now you haven't taken the task of changing the ecosystem.
Correct. You can't even do it, right?
You can't even do it. No, you can. You take the old Mr. Anna Hazare's way. He took the system on.
No, but I'm saying for a young entrepreneur or a small entrepreneur.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
So if I can just read through what you're saying, given a choice, you would say do something in the private sector and kind of avoid the government sector? Unless you're a big boy.
Unless you can, with your vision, with your plan, you can attract funds or financial institutes or investors who are willing to take that risk and take that exposure.
So I'm going to ask you a final question. Yeah. And I know you always have ideas in your mind. But assuming you got a fourth venture to start with. Yeah. Okay. Or, you have advice to somebody and, with your wide experience, you meet a lot of people. Yeah. What should they do? Is there some business opportunity in the hygiene space that somebody can enter into?
My God, there are opportunities galore, and especially with this changing time, with the changing mindset. Look at programs like, beautifully thought programs, Swachh Bharat, Smart Cities, Make in India. These are all programs which open up opportunities at several levels. You don't need another better, faster, well-designed car. You don't need a better toothpaste.
Okay.
You don't need a better beauty product. You don't need a better shirt. You don't need you look at several categories. You don't need a better of this. What it needs now is some genuine dreaming, some genuine storytelling, some genuine solutions that overcome problems which have been created by, what is the problem of food waste? Problem of plenty. If you have a surplus, you will generate waste. If you don't have surplus, You will eat what is on your plate and you will not leave anything there, right? You won't throw it. This is all a problem of surplus, led by what? Economic prosperity, higher education, better jobs, more disposable income, more food waste. So all of these trends, social trends, will throw up opportunities. It's a question of, you looking at these from an opportunity point and finding a genuine solution. Then you're creating something new. That's a space which is unchallenged. That's a space where you can break clutter, create something, on your own. Otherwise, today, all other markets are extremely competitive.
Correct. So which are a few of these opportunities? Anything that comes to your mind?
Anything to do with air, anything to do with water, anything to do with soil. Go back to the basics.
So a few examples.
Clean air. The air in this office. Beautiful opportunity. Right? You have all these AC ducts. How clean is clean? How fresh is fresh? If I can prove that, stale air in the ducts lowers the energy level in this office, would Samir, as the founder of this, be fired up with that idea, saying, yeah, I would like to do something about this? We all have seen water and water waste. Plentiful. Going back to, India has so much of excess water and we still face water issues.
Water issues, correct.
Right? Water in our taps are not good to drink. If you can create a few dots, there is a brilliant opportunity waiting. Agriculture, soil. We are an agricultural economy. But is our soil rich enough? Or have we eroded it to a level where it is close to being a banjar, barren? And what can we do to improve the quality of soil? Sadhguru started a movement, Save Soil. Save Soil is a thought, is a movement. Now, can you peg something on Save Soil? I'm sure you can. So if I can demonstrate and prove that by doing these practices or adding these enzymes or adding these carbon enhancers, your 2 acres of farm have given double the output than my 2 acres of conventional farm. Is there a case I'm making? I'm making a case. Then the question is, okay,
how do you do it?
How do you package this? How do you execute it? So opportunities are plentiful, but you need to have the ability to put your nose deep into it and join the dots. But I think if entrepreneurs today are looking at, or anybody is looking at entrepreneurial adventure, I would say, unless you have a genuine problem, genuine solution, it will be a fad. It will come, it will go. Right?
Needs to be deeper.
It needs to be deeper. It needs to be thought through. It needs to be scaled from day one. Today with technology, you have the potential, you have the ability to scale things quickly. So build your organization, build your template from day one to suit scale, right? If an opportunity comes onto you, then you can't think, oh my God, I don't have an execution team. So chicken and egg, but some genuine solution orientation, science and technology driven, right? Unless you're doing something crazy like AI did, crypto did, okay? You don't need too much of, you can scale it randomly anywhere. Everything else will require a lot of brick mortar, investment, mindset, execution skills, how to take it to the market, how to brand it, how to make it emotionally strong and connect with the customers, etc. So you have to think this through. Coming from where I come, or what my mindset would really think is, unless you've identified a genuine problem, I can't have a product and then create a problem in your mind to fit my product.
I get it. I think this is your theme, which has come through consistently. Being a non-science person, like you started the conversation, that you always looked at a gap, always looked at an opportunity. And whether it's a small opportunity in office washrooms, or it's a large opportunity in a city like Pune or Bangalore, where there's food waste. And that's where it led your entire imagination from, and you created businesses around it. So great, Nuriel. Thank you so much for this lovely conversation.
A pleasure always.
I'm sure it's very deep, because the problem you're solving in Pune is a very large problem. Probably the problem that you're solving in office washrooms was a smaller problem. But I like, over the last 20 years, how you've taken your core strength and built on it. And you keep building on it. I get a whiff that you might do something with water or air as you go on in life. Yeah, and wish you the very best.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much, everybody who's watching this episode. I hope if you have any questions, doubts, whether it's a private enterprise or whether it's a social enterprise which caters to the government, you've got a good idea of the kind of challenges that you can face, the opportunities. And also an important thing which Nuriel has highlighted is when you're working with promoters, investors, having a good fit having an alignment in terms of perspectives and scale is very important. So till the next episode, thank you very much.